Hello, my loves. My name is Diana. Welcome to Nova Holistic Special Edition podcast this evening. It's a really special event that we're going to have tonight. I'm holding space for wonderful Irina and Luca for an event that's coming up in, a couple of weeks' time on the 3rd of June, Saturday, 3rd of June. So it's a book official launch of a book that was actually published a little while ago, and it's called, hang on, let me get that in alignment, Unfolding Journeys. So we've come together today to talk to you about the book, about the event, and invite you to come along and experience a beautiful day of unfolding journeys. There we go. So, hi guys, how you doing?
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good
Hi.
evening. Hello.
Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm happy to go live in I think we're live at the moment in 4 destinations. In my private Facebook page, my business page, YouTube channel, and LinkedIn. So the broadcast has gone live, kind of to get as much of an audience as possible. Hopefully, people can join us so that they can hear all about this wonderful event.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me and giving the possibility of talking about Unfolding Journeys, which is a dear project that I was involved with IEHA, so International Energetic Healing Association. Irina promoted and started this project, if I'm correct, and was a bit of a journey, was a bit of an unfolding journey for all of us.
It certainly was. And it still
drums?
Still is. And
so can I then just invite you? We have this really beautiful flow that's happening. I sort of started, and then Luca, and now we've got to you, Irina. Could you talk to us a little bit about that planted seed and the first harvest, maybe, of the idea, and then how it grew into this manifestation?
it's like with these big things that you never know you're capable of. Being English as a second language individual, I never, dreamt to be coordinating something like a book writing project, right? But somehow it decided to come through me. The energy of it was so humongous. And I remember we did it in one of our events, Healers Connect. It's a very intimate setting, normally no more than 10, 15 people. And we were just finishing meditation. We just got really quiet. And then these downloads started to happen. And it was a big vision with the book. I could see myself holding the book. I could see myself in the conference of some sort. And there were many, many more things. So thanks God for those people in the same, kind of in the Healers Connect setting for helping me ground it. And we then sat with each element that arrived, and the book obviously was ready and was manifesting to come into fruition. And we didn't know how many. The original title was 1001 Stories. So inspired by the Shekrazada and her healing tales or her survival tales as such. But then the connotation changed. So it became more of the becoming self-aware kind of tone of the stories, and the healing, obviously, sharing of how we all come to the healing and understanding and awareness step by step, one step at a time.
And so, just to give a bit of a broader context for the audience, the audience won't know what Healers Connect is or what is it in relation to. So can you tell the audience a little bit about what Healers Connect is and sort of the organizer, the IHA, and so that they understand the sort of background of what this is? Yeah.
Yeah, so the association is a smaller kind of association, very specialized. So we have industry partners, but we have a point of difference as well. So we're focusing on anything working with energy. So you could be energetic practitioner of any sort. You can be electric engineer, but being very mindful of what's happening, with the energy currents when you connect something. You could be a doctor, you could be a naturopath, you can be a beautiful crystal healer, sound healer, Reiki practitioner, energetic healer. So this is why the body was born all these years ago. So it's celebrating its 21st birthday. But in a new form, it's younger. So it's I think 8 years. Yeah, 8 years young. This current company, and we have about 130 members. So for our offering to our membership community is to get together and discuss different topics, all the things that we might be interested as the healers to advance our personal and professional growth. It helps with the professional development, but most of all, to works as a support platform.
Okay, so and the IHA stands for the International Energy Healers Association. So yeah, that's if anyone is interested in checking it out, you can find it on
all platforms.
On all the platforms. Yeah, all the platforms. I was just actually thinking that as we continue to discuss, I might add the website to the comments so people can have a look. But yeah,
thank you.
Excuse me. Okay, so so there's this monthly event called the Healers Connect for the purposes that you mentioned, and then you get this download about the book, and it comes in one form, and then it begins to take shape and manifest, and it's manifested in a different form. Tell us a little bit about that journey of how did it get to the version that it is in the book today. Yeah.
I feel that we've done one thing really, really well. We've listened to the energy. We've listened to what we were kind of where we were guided. It's a big leap of faith, I must tell you that. So like, when you expect 1,000 authors and you get like 10 submissions to start with, you're going, oh, do we close the project or do we keep going and do something else? So we've opened it up actually to the communities of the community.
Right.
So we went to the
okay. Yeah.
next. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not familiar. I actually wasn't a member at the time, so I haven't experienced this process. So I actually don't know anything about this. So I'm hearing it for the first time, just like the audience. So you said submissions. So you put out submissions for people to submit their stories. Is that what happened?
Correct. Yes.
Right.
So
okay.
we've created a submission form, and it had the best practices of starting to write your story. So we also chosen a very short story. So it was 500 words as a limit. We kind of channeled that as well. There was the information that we had to tune in and see what is the length, the optimal, and the 500 words was palatable. I felt like it was palatable for most people, whether they're professional writers and are very short on time, or they're healers that just have a real interesting take on their journey or interesting episode like a roundabout of their journeys, or artists that would like to share the healing perspective of their artistry. Yeah.
And so was this, I'm going to get to you in a minute, Luca, but I just want to ask one more question from Irina. Did you stay just within the IEHA community, or did you open it up a little bit broader as well?
We opened it up. So we have the immediate community, which is our members, and then we have a wider community, about 1,000 people. And then we invited all the authors that already registered to invite their friends if they felt the story would be relevant to them. So we have quite a few of those friend of the friend of the friend scenario happening. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, obviously wasn't meant to be at the time, but I wish I had been around for that. I think it would have been a really amazing process to witness. And so, do you know how many stories are in there all up at the moment in the book? In this
60 stories.
60
60,
stories.
yeah. 52
okay.
authors and 60 stories. Some of us
Wow.
have contributed a few. And then we had a goal of a few co-creations where the two authors contributed their own stories and then contributed the joint stories. So one particular synchronicity, I cannot not to speak about it. So the two chapters arrived at the same time. One, like literally 5 minutes apart. And another thing I asked authors to do is to choose their favorite number for their chapter number between 1 and 100. So, and these two came back like, very close numbers, one after another. And the same kind of storyline about connecting with their close family members who crossed over into another world, and how we perceive grief and loss energetically, and how healing it is when we allow ourselves to grieve properly. So they were invited then to co-create one story together, and it's called The Energy of Synchronicity, the chapter.
Wow.
By these two. Yeah.
That's really lovely. Like I'm actually really happy to hear this background stuff. I've read the book, and I feel like it deepens my experience of the book, having hear you talk about this. I think it's really quite amazing. Okay. So, Luca, let me go to you then. Tell me about your experience of this journey, being on on a different page, but the same continuum. Like, what was it like to receive this invitation and then think about, yeah.
Yes. It's interesting enough because the book is called Unfolding Journeys. And then the little title underneath says Ways to Connect. And Irina and I, we met at Natural Care College. She was my teacher back then.
Oh, okay.
And
I didn't know that either.
She was my teacher back then. And probably a couple of years later, after I finished my diploma, she called me out of the blue, say, "Hey, we need someone to teach at Natural Care College. Would you like to join?" And I said yes without thinking. A couple of years later after that, she calls me out of the blue, say, "Hey, we're writing a book. Would you like to write a chapter?" And I say, "Yes, of course," without thinking. So the relationship that Irina and I have is basically she picked up the phone, she said, "You need to do this." I'm like, "Yep, sure, I'm on board."
Yep. Forever the teacher and the guide.
It is what it is. You were in IEHA, Irina, and you call me and say, "Oh, you should become a member," and should become a member. I got my membership, and then you call me again and say, "You should be in the energy team." Yeah, sure, I'll keep following along. That's the connection, I think, between Irina's journey with the book and the community, my own journey of jumping on board because someone that I know and I respect and admire called me and said, this is an opportunity, I think you should take it. And you have that leap of faith, of trust that the person is just looking after you in a way. You know that this project is going to be a good outcome for you, no matter what it is, and then you just follow along.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with the book, And then
sorry, darling. Sorry, finish.
Then you
I
get
just want to make an observation. Yeah.
Sorry for the French, but you get the oh shit moment, and you're like, what am I going to write about? But well, I don't have any story. I don't have anything to say. And then you work your own process for that, which is healing in itself. The idea of having your name on a book, it is so empowering. And so I can do this. And that's how, the teacher and the student walk along. The teacher will always invite the student to take an extra step out of the comfort zone, and the student just follows that extra step.
And so if I were to say to you, actually, let me rephrase that because I'm about to say to you, not if I were to say to you, I'm about to say to you. Luca, you're a published author. How does that feel?
It feels external in a way, like it is there, but then it feels very fulfilling and soul aligned on the other hand. So it is an interesting sensation because, I could say that maybe a few years ago I was imagining to be a published author. I was imagining to teach a natural care college. I was imagining to hold my own space with things. And then eventually everything came to manifestation at the due time. So it doesn't add much, but if I tune into the fact that there is my name on a book and the book is out there and people are buying the book, then it's like, okay, it feels really grounded. It feels really grounded. That's probably the best description I can give in this moment to that.
That's really amazing. That's really good. So the observation that I wanted to make before, which I think is really interesting, you were using the language that you weren't thinking, which I think is really interesting because it means that the logical process is bypassed when there's a heart connection. It's a really like that deepened, sort of energetic, established, trusting, respectful, mutually respectful connection. It bypasses the internal mind chatter, and it is a natural in the flow kind of action or response that you describe. What I hear when you describe your process, which I think is really amazing. It speaks volumes about the energy this book holds and how important it was for it to come together in that really deep way. So it's not just slapped together stories. There's people's lives in the book. Like the book is infused with that depth and that energy and that love and trust and commitment and respect, which is amazing. I'm not sure whether that happens with many books when it comes to publishers, etc. Yeah. So,
well,
yeah, go.
Well, I guess I had a small part in the book because I wrote one of the chapter and a few little bits and pieces. But I think Irina had the big responsibility of holding the space for this project to come about and to be real and to come out of print. Because yes, we do in IEHA, we do work a lot with energy flow and the projects that come through. We try to ground them, but then it is a physical process of okay, we got the material, we need to find someone that can put it in a book. We need to find someone that can print it. We need to. There's all that, which will be interesting. You know, I never asked you that question, Irina. Say, what was the energy for you of grounding that process of having a physical product that we can hold in our hand, which was an idea before that. How was that process of creating that type of energy?
The one thing I know for sure that I wouldn't be able to do it on my own. That's absolute truth. So it's only because we have this structure, we have this very special team called Energy Team that we were able to, to complete the project. And, I do have the skills as a project manager in the past. So I was in IT for 25 years and, running multi-million projects was a thing. But this one was completely different. Yes. So it is the project as a normal project. It has a timeline. It has the budget. It had the funds, clearance. And we only we are not for profit, but we still very modest organization growing up. And but the help came. The help came in the funding, in a government funding form. And exactly the same amount as we needed to invest into the prints, surprise, surprise. And but that moment when the books were delivered to our home, and I was just sat with the box like that after offloading it, like literally, unloading the truck and stuff. So just holding the box and just like lying my head, just to really feel it's it happened. So it actually went the full circle and it's here. And it could some things could have been done better or different ways, but it didn't matter in that moment. I didn't have my critique or the project critique in. It was just that like the pure contentment and just like a sense of peace. It's like hugging the teddy bear.
Oh, that's lovely. That's such a lovely image. Yeah, that's lovely. So here we are now at this moment, and there's this extraordinary event that's going to take place in your beautiful crystal shop, Luca. And I know, I mean, I'm going to let you maybe explain it a little bit, but I know that it's been a while since the book was first published. Sorry, since the book first came out to this point where it's now, going out to the greater audience. So tell us a little bit about what sort of was happening there and how the book is now ready to take the next quantum leap, perhaps.
Because I'm part of the energy team as well, like Irina and yourself, Diana now. I think we were in a meeting and we were discussing the advancement of the audiobook project, which is something that I think we're still working on.
Oh, it's happened. It happened. So it's on 2 platforms now. I forgot to mention it.
There you go. So we were discussing because the project got somehow stuck. And what we do in energy team is like, guys, there is this issue. How do we, solve it? How do we bypass this issue? And normally what we do, we close our eyes and we meditate on it. And then we all discuss our, experience with the topic, with the energy that is happening. And clearly while I'm doing that little exercise for the team, this download of you need to have an event in your store came through. And I'm like, great, we are going to do an event at the store. And that's basically what's going to happen on June 3rd. And it took a while to ground that event, but now eventually came through with the way I think it feels honorable for the book. It gives respect to the book and the authors. Because when I thought about this event, or where I download the event, it was never about my own business or shop. It was creating a space for the book to be able to reach the people that needs to read the book and needs to understand maybe themselves a little bit more, because the book is about connection, and ways to connect. And I think nowadays, where we are all physically connected through the internet, there might be some disconnection from a heart perspective. So the tales in the book, the chapters in the book are basically not saying the same thing, but expressing in different ways how, as human beings, we can connect with that deep part of ourselves that is so important to regard and listen to and follow through. Same for me when Irina called me and said, do you want to write a chapter for the book? Yes. That was the heart connection that you mentioned, Diana, as well, which is then expressed beautifully in 60 different chapters in the book by 52 different people in different ways, shape, or forms. And so I decided to create this event in the shop for the 3rd of June, where basically Irina's going to be there. Christy's going to be there. That she's not with us tonight, but she's going to join for the event. And Christy had a chapter in the book. Irina has a chapter. And the funny part of all this, I was thinking about it today. So Irina was my teacher at college. I come on board as a student. Then she asked me to teach. And guess what? Christy was my student. So you have the 3 degrees of the master teacher there, the middle teacher, and the younger teacher hosting this event in the shop where they're going to read their chapter. We're going to have a conversation with people and talk about connection. And literally the event is all about connecting to each other.
So do you want to really quickly just tell us how this is going to happen throughout the day, just so that people know, and also how do they then find... I had the event... sorry, I'm talking out loud. Tell us a little bit about how it's all going to happen through the day. Yeah.
Okay, so it's an open day event. So basically people can come when they like, when they want. They can leave, they can come back. There's no real structure. I've set a couple of time slot for the reading. So I think 10:30 will be Christy reading her piece. Irina will be 1 o'clock. I'll be 3 o'clock. And then we're gonna also have a little conversation on the topic that they're reading about. So one of the form of the connection, how can we work with that connection with crystals, for example? Because I have I have them next door. So I say, well, why don't invite them into the party as well? And so these are the 10:30, 1 o'clock, and 3 p.m. are the 3 readings. It's not that people have to stick around from 10:30 until 3. They can come. There's, there are coffee places, restaurants around here. So they can really have a nice day out, visit the shop, look at the crystal, listen, talking to us. Some people might be interested in, what is IEHA? How's energy healing works? You're going to be there as well, Diana. So we are all renowned holistic practitioners, and people might have the opportunity to have a chat with us and see what it's on offer for them.
That's amazing. I love the way you guys have set up the day. I think it's perfect. It's so good. It's like a meet and greet. It's a deepening of a connection. Now, are the books going to be available in the store for sale?
Yes.
Okay.
Irina's coming with a truckload of books from Sydney. Now we're gonna have a few copies here as well. So. Not an issue. Yeah.
That's amazing. And of course, if you purchase a copy, then you have the opportunity to have the copy signed by the actual authors. So, that's something really special that you can take away on the day with you, other than a whole heap of good vibes and lots of love and lots of connection. Okay. What else did I want to ask you? So what can people do to help this event reach a wider audience? So what I was trying to say before is we need to share the link to the event in the comments. I thought I had it here, but I obviously don't. So I had a moment. Pardon
That's
me.
okay. No,
So
there is a
we'll-
blog. There is a blog on your website, Diana, that went out today, and everything, all the information for the events are there with the link, so people can either head to your website, look into the blog section. There should be the blog about the book. There is an event on Facebook that I think you shared. I shared. Irina is sharing. Christy has. So you find it. But the event is also on Human Ticks for people that use that platform. Just Google event in Newcastle on the 3rd of June. That will definitely pop up. It's a free event, by the way. There's no price or door price to that. It's literally a free event.
The registrations are more just to know how many people are coming at any one particular time, so that the crowd can be managed a little bit. That's it, really. Okay.
Also, if I can butt in, because this is something that I'm working with in these days. In the book, in the last pages, there's something that we call the glossary. And the glossary, I can show you a couple of. Is basically a glossary with symbols on it. And I think the story of those symbols is not for me to tell, but it's for Irina to tell, isn't it?
Yeah, so with like when you run a team and you kind of listen to what your team is capable of, we were blessed with having many talents of different sorts, but there was a very special talent that we had on the team. So her name is Tanya, and she actually didn't contribute her story, but she contributed in a very different way. She has a talent for seeing the keywords in the stories. So she went through every single story in the book and came up with a subset of 5 different ways to connect. As a example would be awareness, meditation, and things like that, whatever people were mentioning in their stories. And also the other scale of things that came up was aspects of human condition as we understand it with a higher level of awareness, not just with a blank analysis, with a very limited tunnel vision analysis, but on a higher scheme of things. So then the energy team tuned in. I think we had originally 400 of the ways to connect, and the energy team tuned in and filtered down and filtered. The final number was I think 176 or something like that. So it's just under 200. And then the further development happened, and Luca, you were part of this one as well. So everyone was invited. The core team was invited to look into each way of connect term and find the quote that matching it, the resonance of that particular way to connect, and also the designer, the book cover designer, and the when she saw the list of all the terms, she said it has to be illustrated. Happened to be my daughter, but she's a very professional artist, and she just sat there, and all of them are hand drawn symbols, then automated afterwards, and has a very special resonance for me as well.
Yeah, Luca, you beat me to it. I was going to ask about the symbols, actually. Yeah, specifically.
You two have been working together for a bit too long.
Not really, not really. It's been what, few months, but
But
we
it
work
feels
well
like,
together.
yeah, feels
Yeah,
very
yeah.
like a very deep connection with you.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay. So what else? Tell me, what else do we need? I don't want to give too much away about the book. I really want to more generate energy and excitement and a buzz around this event, because I don't, it feels to me, in all honesty, it feels to me like, unless you're some sort of a big publisher, books like this that are really important for collective consciousness, that will help bring a new energy to a person's life, or help a person come to that internal ignition point, either like a kundalini energy ignition, or some form of aha moment. I call them aha moments. When you have the light globe, you go, that sort of a moment. It feels like this is a really important thing to do. It feels like a really important event energetically. And so, is there anything else that we need to know? Anything else that you want to share in relation to the day or the journey that we can put out there?
Well, I guess, I literally invite everybody that is connected to this live, or either, will see the post on Facebook, on social, or whatever shape, to come along. It's not a sale event. There's nothing to do with that. It's literally creating a community. It's creating relationships. It's creating connections between human beings. Because that's the only thing that I believe will save us from madness, if we stay connected. If we share our stories. If we share, hey, how did you end up, having a crystal shop? How did you end up being a teacher at Natural Care College? How did you end up doing a podcast on holistic therapies? I think these stories are important to be heard, but also to share amongst people. So we can, oh, okay, wow, yeah, I can relate to that. I can relate to that force that has pushed you to the next step in your journey to become who you are now. Because we're all at the brink of a precipice, like, oh, do I go? Do I stay? And as the fool in the tarot deck, with our little bag with the 4 elements, we just jump into the unknown, because it's going to be that little white dog with us anyway. So is the trust, I was actually listening to Brené Brown the other day, that concept of vulnerability. We need to be vulnerable. She said, yes, you're going to end up in the dirt. You're going to end up failing. That doesn't matter as long as you keep going. So this is the spirit why, we created this event, to get the book going, because that's what is important for me. And people to come along, get a chat, listen to the readings, explore the book, understanding a little bit more maybe about energies and crystal and connection, and just be merry.
Thank you, Luca. I have a little bit to add to that. The warning, it might come with the side benefits. I believe, I believe that the wealth, the wellness, and the kind of emotional wealth is very dependent on telling your stories. And if we hear someone telling their story, we might be inspired to tell our story. So it's not stuck inside of us. It's cleared, and it kind of makes a entry into the outer world and makes more space in our inner world, so the new ideas and the new inspirations might flow in.
I literally love everything you're saying. Like I'm sort of, you know, a practitioner in this world, but I just love. I feel always so inspired by such grace and such. It feels like a blessing to be a part of this sort of community. It's really lovely. So I thank you both. And if I may add, again, as a non-author, but more as an observer of your process and in gratitude, and what you had already mentioned this, but maybe I can just come back to this this really important point also about with this industry, with this work that we do, how business is not separate to being in service. So business and service essentially work together, and anything is possible, even if you don't think that you could be an author or you could own a crystal shop or you know, because all three of us are immigrants.
Yeah.
All three of us, we're not born in this country. We all came to, you know, to the land of Oz to make a better life for ourselves, right? And so this land, for whatever reason, you know, has an incredible potential. So living the potential, you know, actually getting busy, getting jiggy with it, you know, getting busy living rather than contemplating fear and worry and stress and anxiety, which are all really real.
Yeah.
But at some point, transcending those things and going for it anyway. It's like be scared, but do it anyway, kind of thing, you know.
Love it.
Yeah, I just think that this is all. This book represents all of that and so much more. When I hear the two of you talk, so I think it's really important, and I'm so glad and so grateful that you were able to and willing to, you know, have this conversation with me on the podcast, and let's send it out there and get as many people inspired as possible.
Yes.
And continue the conversations, multiple conversations on the day, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Diana, for going live for us and taking us live. So that's my first time actually doing podcast. I was a bit nervous, but I felt very supported.
You're a natural. You're a natural. Any day, anytime. So we'll have to do this again. I think it'll be great. Yeah.
Good.
And Luca?
Thank
How
you,
you
thank you,
doing?
Diana and Irina for being here. And yes, you know, I'm not used to, you know, sitting in front of a camera and talk about things live, but with you it feels natural, and that's why, you know, every time you call me and say, "Hey, can we do an episode about this?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Fine. Because yes, the first time felt so natural and so warm. There was a lot of warmth coming from it. And you almost forget that your camera is there. And, you know, maybe the next project is a television show. Have we ever thought about that?
Oh my God!
I'm about to record one, actually. So I've been invited to ABC. I'll tell you about it. It's a secret. Still a secret.
Okay. Keep the cat in the bag. Keep the cat in the bag.
That's amazing. So, you know, like just for the purposes of the audience, before we went live, we were talking about how long we should have the episode, and we were like, oh, maybe 30 minutes or no longer than an hour and whatever. And I just know that
45.
meaningful conversations always feel like 5 minutes. And here we are. We've had this beautiful organic unfolding, this conversation, and it's 45 minutes. It feels like no time at all. It's really goes so quickly. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So this feels like a good time to finish, to close this conversation. So then in closing, whoever is listening to this, I've put in the comments both Luca's and my websites that will take you to the blog so that you can then read more about or remind yourself about the event and get all the times and dates, etc., and the address of Luca's shop. And we hope to see you there.
Yes.
And because I promise you that if you make the effort to come along, you're going to have an extraordinary
Day.
experience.
Yeah. Guaranteed.
And excellent. Thanks, guys. Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
So much.
That was
Thank
really
you.
cool.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you both
All
very
right.
much.
So thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. And go have a nice, yummy dinner and a good sleep. All right. So I'm just going to finish the broadcast now, but stick around for a minute and we'll just close between ourselves. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. And